Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Radcast. I am going to read and show you all the press release that I have just sent out to Myriad Media here in Los Angeles, California, which is where Darth and I are broadcasting from. And I'll just go ahead and screen share from the get-go, and we'll read through the summary first, and then we'll go through the slide deck, which has most of the text and all of the images. But the high-level summary: press release June 26, 2018, supporting the release of the new film Sicario, Day of the Soldado. This is the sequel to the original Sicario, starring Benicio del Toro and a bunch of other folks. Ex-Mexican President Vicente Fox and I, for years, have been promoting the end of criminal drug cartels by ending federal prohibition. And finally, today, on June 26th, we have an opportunity to fulfill our dream of ending criminal drug cartels and ending prohibition. And this is really a really wonderful launching pad for achieving that goal. Not that we're necessarily going to achieve it in 24 hours. It'll probably take much longer than that. But this will be the beginning of the end of the criminal drug cartels. I and Darth will be performing a public performance with open mic for conversation with all of the good folks of Los Angeles who show up either to support or to simply find out about what this is all about. So there's no obligation in turning up, whether you're with the media or with any organization or just yourself as an individual or family. And we are coming out in support of the film Sicario, Day of the Soldado premiere, where Benicio del Toro and all the other stars are going to be showing up in tuxedos and gowns and limousines with gobs of paparazzi and all that. Because, you know, keep in mind, criminal drug cartels are pretty much the hot issue in Hollywood these days. Anyway, this is the premiere night, even before it's open to the public. And we are going to be expanding the public conversation to that of the peaceful elimination of all criminal drug cartels by ending federal prohibition of all drugs. And I'll just let you read through. I'll just highlight a few things here and there, both here and on the PowerPoint. So the key point is, now the filming will be at 7:30 p.m., right? That's the screening or whatever the heck they call it for the premiere. So I don't know when all the limousines are going to show up. I imagine around 6 or 6:30 or who knows when. But anyway, we will actually be one block north of the, here, let me just show you the Fox Theater real quick. Okay, this is the Fox Village Theater, 961 Broxton Avenue, Los Angeles. This is in Westwood Village, of course. We are going to be, as you face the theater, right here, the entrance to the theater, we're going to be to the right. So you go up past that Coca-Cola van, and you go a full block, and you get to the very next intersection, which is Broxton and LeConte. Broxton and LeConte. That's where we're going to be performing, because this is all going to be fenced off and security and paparazzi and all that good stuff. So getting back to the reading. Anyway, that's where we'll be. We are going to be there starting at about 5 p.m. performing, and we're going to go late into the night. And then I'll get to the attached PowerPoint. Public conversation, our performance, our singing, our dancing. I'll have other colleagues and friends and relatives there, and we're going to be performing together, getting media coverage, drawing in the public into the conversation. And now we can look at the PowerPoint. So here we have the front page article published in the Seattle Times on May 31st, 2013, where President Fox and I first took on the criminal drug cartels in a peaceful way by proclaiming the end of prohibition. Now, at that time, we were focusing on cannabis, but it's quite clear we need to end the prohibition of all drugs. And Here you see images on top and to the left of the 3-day symposium that we organized in July 2013, international symposium with participants from Europe, South America, quite a few from the United States. And together, President Fox and I, we co-organized the event and co-led the event during the 3 days and really grappled with so many different issues and opportunities. We had the Dutch ambassador to Mexico was one of the panelists, and he gave an amazing presentation. More on that in a little bit. And then, so how did I get from here to here in 2017? From 2013 to 2017. Well, so President Vicente Fox and I did a 3-month tour, which we kicked off here at the end of May in Seattle, continued on to the San Juan Islands. A few weeks later, we were in San Francisco, California, and organized a big symposium there. Steve D'Angelo literally stole the show. It was hilarious. But anyway, that's all up on YouTube. Then we culminated with a big 3-day symposium in Mexico. This is the logo for it, for ending prohibition, again, focusing on cannabis. And at the end, within a few weeks of the completion of this international tour, in which we were, explicitly aiming to end all criminal drug cartels and all the violence and the human trafficking and the arms trafficking, the money laundering, the corruption of politicians and police forces and military, and all the evil that comes along with criminal drug cartels, just part of the territory. Within a few weeks of this tour, completing this tour, a specific criminal drug cartel started threatening me and my family. And they made some very serious death threats and did other terrible things. And at the time, my dad was dying of cancer. And I did not want to, for my parting gift to him, to be like my severed head or something like that, which, criminal drug cartels are known to do if you don't do their bidding. So, well, I certainly wasn't going to do any bidding of theirs, but, taking a break from the media was a gift I could give to my dad. That was one of the demands of the criminal drug cartel, was that I step down from the media, not make any more media appearances, just shut the bleep up, and, maybe they wouldn't get rid of me. So that was their threat. Anyway, my dad passed away in 2016, and by 2017, I had had enough. And so, far from staying out of the media, I launched a very aggressive campaign in the state of Washington to rid the state of Washington of all criminal drug cartels. And here I am going to read through the text of the, now what I started in the state of Washington was so successful and continues to build momentum that I and some relatives have started a national tour. Also, some friends have been hugely supportive, and it's just building momentum. So we're taking what was a state-specific movement and building it into a national movement of 50 states, not of a federal government or some federal identity, but it's really the 50 states coming together, because this is very much a states' rights issue. We applaud and thank the makers of Sicario, Day of the Soldado, for illuminating the atrocities caused by violent criminal drug cartels. We propose to take this conversation to its logical conclusion, peacefully eliminating all criminal drug cartels from Mother Earth. In parallel, we propose to reinvigorate damaged economies and ecosystems with holistically healthy agriculture, job and business opportunities to replace the failed drug cartel economy. The first phase is the peaceful removal of all criminal drug cartels from the global marketplace. As we elaborate further below, the keys to achieving this are the repeal of federal prohibition of all drugs and the replacement of prohibition with each of the 50 states creating and implementing their own laws, rules, and regulations for all drugs. And there's really two classes of drugs to consider and address holistically: soft drugs and hard drugs. For soft drugs, we are in favor of state-regulated production and retail, as has been successfully implemented for alcohol in all 50 states and in cannabis in some states and countries. For hard drugs, we are in favor of each state creating their own solutions, and we strongly encourage the study of successful programs implemented by various European countries. One shining example is Holland's laws, policies, and programs for ending heroin addiction and removing criminal drug cartels from the Dutch market. And here's a link to this really great article on vice.com about precisely that. Basically, heroin addiction rates among people under the age of 40 are essentially non-existent in Holland, thanks to their laws and policies. And what they do is they have government-run clinics at which they dispense government-synthesized heroin, totally pure heroin, at no cost to the addicts. And it's really profound what that's achieved. But the single biggest impact is it completely changes the stigma of what heroin means. Look, in the early 1980s, if you had some heroin in Holland, you could go to some friends and say, hey, let's try this. It'll be fun, right? And then maybe one or two of your friends becomes addicted as a result of that Saturday night party and all that fun. Well, with what Holland has done with these clinics for addicts is they have communicated very clearly through their actions and policies that heroin is a drug for addicts. It's not a party drug. It's a drug to become addicted to and really mess up your life. And then you become one of the subjects of one of these clinics. And it's all very sad, and you know, for the addicts. But that sadness and the public communication of the entirety of the situation, including the solution, has a net effect of scaring people away from trying the drug, and it also dries up the market from the criminal drug cartel standpoint, because all the addicts are going to the clinics. They're not robbing people's homes or robbing people at gunpoint or knife point or prostituting themselves or doing any of the terrible things that addicts sometimes or often do in order to get their fix. They're no longer committing these crimes in order to get cash to pay, drumroll, criminal drug cartels for the heroin of questionable quality. And, you know, just look at the cases like, tragic cases like Philip Seymour Hoffman, who, you know, unintentionally died of a heroin overdose. He just wanted to get high, but, you know, such are the dangers. In a government-run clinic in Holland, I guarantee you, Philip Seymour Hoffman would not have died of an overdose. We are taking a unique approach in promoting the above proposal. Jamen Shively dressed as Darth Vader, singing beautiful Spanish love songs, in between which he summarizes the above points and dialogues with the public. And I've got some links from collaborations with former Mexican President Vicente Fox, some really good stuff, especially this press conference. The first 15 minutes of this are just absolutely amazing. You've got to watch it. So that's May 30th, 2013 in Seattle. You can look it up on YouTube. Additional media coverage. Really good stuff here. And then parallels with prohibition of alcohol in the 20s and 30s. Basically, we learned our lesson way back then that the harms caused by prohibition far exceed the harms of the underlying substance. It was true for alcohol, and it's certainly true for cannabis, proven true for cannabis, and in fact for all drugs. We, all 50 states, each of the 50 states, must demand enforcement of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, ending federal prohibition of drugs, of all drugs. Failure of the president to uphold the Constitution must result in demands for his or her impeachment. We must acknowledge that the general public is confusing our core message of legalization and decriminalization with our being soft on drugs and soft on crime. So we need a cleaner message that will unite us rather than divide us. Try this on for size. Eradicate criminal drug cartels. Look, everyone's for that if we can do it peacefully, and we can do it peacefully. So the question is how? How to eradicate all criminal drug cartels from Mother Earth? The answer, repeat. Oh, sorry. It says here, repeat the success of the 1933 repealing of the prohibition of alcohol. That was the answer. That was the solution then, and that is the solution now. It's really that simple, because once the federal government repeals prohibition, then just as in the case of alcohol, each of the 50 states proceeds to draft and implement. And most states already have stuff drafted anyway. That's really that's not, I won't say it's easy, because like a state like Texas may not look like the state of Washington. I'm going to be pushing hard for, and I believe we will prevail democratically to implement sensible drug policy, both for soft drugs and hard drugs, much as Holland has done. Now, a state like Texas, with a whole different culture and history, and a lot of differences that are certainly respected. That's really the essence of our what was once a republic but has now become an empire, is states' rights, and that each state can really create their own destiny. So Texas may not be in for this lenient approach. In fact, they may go in the opposite direction and really go after the criminal drug cartels with a vengeance. And it'll be really interesting to see how Texas proceeds. But in California, it's still up for grabs. Are we willing to stand up to the cartels or not? This is a really powerful slide. Look at the parallels and lessons learned from the failure of prohibition of alcohol. On the left, you have a list of things which are constitutionally regulated by our states. Alcohol, success. Tobacco, success. Gambling, success. Lottery, success. Boxing, success. Success, 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 all the way down the line. Now let's look at something which is unconstitutionally regulated by the federal government. Federally prohibited drugs. Failure. It's easier for kids to buy prohibited drugs than it is for them to buy regulated alcohol. Second, addiction and overdose from drug abuse has skyrocketed because we're telling everybody, hey, this is the tree of knowledge. Don't eat of it. And as President Vicente Fox said in our press conference in Seattle on May 30th, 2013, which I showed the link to previously, people are going to bite the apple. It's what they do. This sounds like a Geico ad. Third, economic and other harms from incarceration, resulting in destruction of lives and destruction of families for drug use and possession of small quantities. Just look at Oklahoma and Texas. Human rights violations, environmental devastation, destruction of entire countries in Latin America. The violence that used to characterize criminal alcohol cartels, think Al Capone, in the United States has been exported south. And perhaps worst of all, criminal drug cartels have expanded into human trafficking, supplying arms to terrorists, myriad other forms of crime, human rights, and environmental, ecological violations, and waging war. So this has just exploded into a cluster mess. Just compare the two sides. It's really clear the path forward. So to start the path forward, I started where I live in the state of Washington. And here I am with Doctors in Utopia on the 4th of July, 2017, performing out in public in Seattle, near the big University Village shopping center that my great uncle Boyd developed many, many decades ago. And here's some of the songs that I sing in Spanish, both at this location, at the University of Washington, up at the San Juan Islands, Whidbey Island, lots of locations in the state of Washington, downtown Seattle. So you can check out those links. You can just go to my YouTube channel. And so that's it for the press release. And I just want to point out that I want to make the invitation loud and clear. Now that you know about it, please come if you can, if you're either in LA or can make it to LA later today. And if not, please invite your friends who are in or nearby LA to join us. You know, invite them to check out this video. There's no obligation for showing up, but there will be some danger because we're taking on the criminal drug cartels. Now, Benicio del Toro is going to be there, a whole bunch of other Hollywood stars with all kinds of security. But mainly, since Benicio del Toro is going to be there, basically, if they're going to kill us, they have to kill Benicio del Toro. Nobody kills Benicio del Toro. He's too damn tough. But full disclosure, there will be some danger in taking on the criminal drug cartels. So those of you who are you know, afraid of danger, this is definitely not for you. Anyway, for everyone else, please come, because this is a pathway. Let me screen share again first. Let me find the slide I want to show. All right, please bear with me a moment while I find the appropriate slide. Okay, so not that. Maybe. Okay, not that. Well, here, I'll put this one up while I'm down. There we go. Okay, there it is. Thanks for your patience. This next slide that I'm going to show represents our entire holistic strategy and why this is so important that we go after the criminal drug cartels now in a way that's peaceful. I really don't think they're gonna get violent. You know, like, I don't know for sure, and so you know, the bottom line is that there is, you know, risk. Of course, there's risk, but look, the bottom line is these criminal drug cartels, they're a bunch of cowards. The ones we're really focused on are the ones who are doing the human trafficking and the sex slaves. We're going to come down so hard on those criminal drug cartels. Look, the rest of them, the ones who aren't doing human trafficking, aren't involved in any forms of, you know, sex slavery or anything like that. Look, if you're just smuggling drugs, just stop what you're doing and go hide somewhere, you know, really. But the ones who are hurting our women, our sisters, we're really going to, you know, I don't want to be too explicit about what our intentions are, but it's really not going to go well for you. And the ones who are doing that, the drug cartels who participate in human trafficking, sex slaves, sex slavery, and the sex trade, they're a bunch of cowards. They're a bunch of complete cowards. And so I don't think they're going to have the you-know-what to stand up to us, really. I just don't. But, you know, I could be surprised. That's where the danger lies. But anyway, they're Humpty Dumpty on a wall. We're going to end this insane system of prohibition, this suicidal system of prohibition that created the criminal drug cartels, keeps them in power. That's when we knock over the Berlin Wall of prohibition. Humpty Dumpty up here, the criminal drug cartels, are in for a big fall, and they'll just be obliterated financially, not militarily, not violently, but financially. And then they'll, you know, go after each other and try to raid each other's stashes of cash, and, you know, they'll end up killing each other. That's the optimistic scenario. But anyway, part of the reason I'm inviting everyone to come to the event is so that you can speak into the mic, you know, what you think, what you believe, what you feel. And maybe you've got a better idea as to how we can save life on Earth. Look for a link to a really great conversation we had at the Sierra Club in Berkeley about a month ago, wherein we address the issue of this red arrow, highway to hell that we're on, the path that we're on, leading to mass extinction, including human extinction. We urgently need an off-ramp from that. The off-ramp I propose consists of these three facets, which can actually be executed on simultaneously and holistically, and that's the imperative. But the common thread is organized crime. We're getting rid of all forms of organized crime, including organized crimes against Mother Earth. With that, we stop the harm, clear the way so that we can start the healing, move towards a whole world, off the highway to hell and towards a whole world. So come to Fox Village Theater starting at 5 p.m. You're welcome anytime, but we're going to start performing at 5 p.m. and we're going to go late into the night. Let's really show all the paparazzi, all the media, including the Los Angeles Times and other media that who I've invited to come. Let's show them that we are absolutely serious in eradicating all forms of organized crime, including organized crimes against Mother Earth, so that we can heal Mother Earth, heal the ecosystems, the life-supporting systems, including the atmosphere, and save as much life on Earth as possible. But we got to start somewhere. We got to find an off-ramp, and I think criminal drug cartels and prohibition are the way to start. Whether you agree or not, come join the conversation. Love to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. See you later today. Arigato.